Alright, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another new edition of the return to the SWF. We're here for pay-per-view number 6, I believe. Oh, it's June. I was thinking like, oh, I'm gonna have to guess which pay-per-view number because I haven't been counting, and then I remembered, oh wait, it's June and we run one pay-per-view a month. So pay-per-view number 6 of the show, we have Times of Trouble 2020, and speaking of 6, there are only 6 matches here tonight, a slightly smaller card than usually we have on these pay-per-views, but that's because we've got a Royal Rumble here tonight, a Supreme Rumble here tonight. It's just a Royal Rumble for those of you that are only watching the pay-per-views or are not willing to rewatch everything to catch up, which I don't blame. So yeah, we got a 30-man Supreme Royal Rumble here tonight, and no news for this week, as we only simulated 3 days and nothing happened in those 3 days. So no news. It's time to run down the card. I'm gonna do what I've been doing. I think I forgot to do it for Master of Puppets, but I'm gonna do what I've been doing and just quickly recap the storylines behind all these matches right now as I run down the card, so we don't waste a lot of time in the actual booking explaining what's going on currently and then what's happened in the past 4 weeks. I feel like that gets my brain too convoluted. As you know, I'm the most literate TEW YouTuber on YouTube. So today we're gonna open the show with our new debut, our rookie kind of guy, Leon de Oro, an American luchador who has been caught in the crosshairs of our other hot new talent, Greg Gage, as Greg defeated Steven Parker at the Master of Puppets pay-per-view thanks to the help of Sam Keith, who brought in his son, Greg Keith, and Greg Gage won the match, and he laid out his own father. He's like, I don't fucking need you, old man. He denounces his family name the next week, and he has been feuding with Leon de Oro, an American Mass Patriot, not American, Mass Patriot's tag team partner. He's just been feuding with Mass Fury altogether, and this is kind of the culmination match where Greg Gage was going to hold a Legacy Open Challenge inspired by what Lenny Brown was doing. He's like, come claim your legacy. I want a challenge here in the SWF. Leon de Oro enters. Greg Gage pussied out. Eric called him a bitch. And now we're having the match at the pay-per-view. Then we have Adam Smasher versus Jimmy Hernandez. And the build to this match, it was a confusing one. Okay, so at Master of Puppets, Crippler ran through 5 other guys to retain his title, and Adam Smasher was very close to cashing in the Everything to Game briefcase, which is our Money in the Bank. He came very close, but he was stopped by Jimmy Hernandez, who he fought earlier in the night, and Jimmy Hernandez made sure Adam Smasher will not get a world title run on his watch. And on the following show, Jimmy Hernandez, who's been kind of teaming with Morgan and the Self-Made Sensations recently, Joey Morgan had a world title match that was cost to him by Adam Smasher, and Adam's like, your friend costed me everything, I'm going to cost you everything. And they had a 6-man tag team match the following week where Jimmy Hernandez pinned Adam Smasher in that tag team match, causing Adam Smasher to absolutely mop the floor with Jimmy Hernandez, challenge him for the pay-per-view. Even the Power Plant even kidnapped Steven Parker and Dominic D'Souza as a trap to beat down Jimmy Hernandez, so Jimmy might not be 100% going into this pay-per-view. The SWF Tag Team Championships are on the line as the Awesomness finally get their proper rematch against Hawaiian Crush, noted by the Awesomness in one of their Simply Awesome shit talks. They're like, the other 2 matches don't count. The first Awesomeness versus Hawaiian Crush 2v2 match had the Dallas Stars run in, it had Fame and Money run in, and then our rematch was a 4-way. It was a 2v2v2v2. No, those don't count. This is the real match. So in the build to this, Hawaiian Crush have been kind of giving out tag team title matches to anyone that pisses them off, and they're like, we're not going to do that anymore. All right, big money makers, you guys got to earn your stripes, and they earn their stripes through a loophole. But they still get their tag team title match on week 3 of Supreme TV. And during that match, while the match is going on, Awesomeness are hyping themselves up to Eric Eisen like, hey, we should get whoever wins at the pay-per-view. And Eric's like, yeah, you are right, you didn't really get your rematch. So the second Eric Eisen greenlit it, the Awesomeness run in, cost Hawaiian Crush, or cost the Big Money Makers the match, and the Awesomness are like, it doesn't matter which of you two we'd face at the pay-per-view, but it'd be really nice to take those titles that you've screwed from us. So, Awesomness versus Hawaiian Crush for the World Tag Team titles. John Greed versus Rocky Golden. Pretty much Rocky wants to face Scythe. Scythe's kind of dodging him, although Scythe will claim that he's not scared, but, he looks kind of scared. And so he has sent his henchman John Greed, with the stipulation being if Rocky Golden can beat John Greed here tonight, then Rocky will fight Scythe in a one-on-one match at the Supreme Challenge in a cage. It will be a cage match at the pay-per-view. And people are like, oh, Rocky's going to mop the floor with John Greed. But John Greed has been training with Scythe, the scariest man in the world. So maybe he'll pull out something that we're not seeing. And then we have our Supreme Rumble. And it's not going on main event because every time I book a Royal Rumble show, it always shits the bed. So it's going to be our semi-main because our main event is Crippler versus Steve Frehley. It's Supreme Rumble. Eric's like, hey, everything the game went well, so we're going to steal another idea from another multiverse, and we're going to have a Supreme Rumble. So, main event, Steve Frehley versus the Crippler. Steve Frehley was brought back into the SWF a few months ago, and was immediately put into a world title match, but it was a three-way against the Crippler and Remo, so Steve Frehley lost that match, and he wasn't pinned. Okay, and then the next month, he brings up, hey, I wasn't pinned. And so he gets put in the 5-man title match, where once again he lost, but he was not pinned. So Steve Frehley is like, I'm going to get my fucking one-on-one match. And he finally got it. And then the Crippler's like, for some guy that we're paying a lot of money for, you always seem to fail when the lights are brightest. And Steve's like, I find that funny because you only seem to win when outside sources help you. And, yeah, now they're pretty fucking mad at each other. And that's gonna do it for the rundown of the card. Let me think if there's anything else I need to talk about before we get into the pay-per-view. I don't think so. So we're gonna get straight into it. Our Times of Trouble 2020 opening video package. Pop Star by The Grown Man, and featuring Wally Wealthy. That's right, Wally Wealthy has made it twice onto our pay-per-views. That's the official theme song, is Pop Star. Hype Get Over. It's the cheese angle. And in our opening match, Greg Gig versus Leon De Otto, I'm hoping for a good number. Both of these guys are pretty good. And I do have a tainted finish, but fucking 79. Greg Gage pulls out an 83. Leon's got a 59. He's new. It's fine. He'll get better. But yeah, Greg Gage beats Leon De Oro. Blatantly cheating, though. He locks in the Proton Lock. 9 minutes and 48. 79 rated match. Good way to start the show. We like to see it. And one thing that I really wish WWE would do nowadays is because they seem to have angle time for fucking all of the most useless shit. But they, on their Royal Rumble shows, do not do number drawings anymore. And I just feel like that's a missed opportunity. So we're going to do some number drawings. And the Rat Pack come and draw their numbers. And we see Fame and Money, who we have not seen since their brutal street fight against the Awesomness. And they're both kind of like still hurting. It looks like Monty Trescard's arm is taped up. Paul Huntington's visibly got like a knee brace over his khakis, and he's limping just a little bit. And it's like, before they draw the numbers, Monty and Paul are like, Brett, are you sure we still can't have the night off? I mean, like, we're still in a lot of pain. And Brett's like, and let him win. Not if I have anything to say about it. And Brett puts his hand right into the roulette, whatever it is. I don't know what they're called, the rolly thing. He puts his hand in the rolly thing, he pulls it out, and he is shitting his bricks. He looks at that number and he fucking hates it. Paul Huntington draws and it's alright. Justin Sensitive draws not the best number. Monty Trescard draws the number and he's got a visible smile on his face, and Brett's like, what's that? What number did you draw? And Monty's like, oh. And he drops the expression. He's like, horrible number. Horrible number. Brett's like, let me fucking see it. He grabs the number, and he's like, oh, I'm taking this. And he shoves Monty with the number that Brett drew. Brett gives Monty his number. He steals Monty Trescard's number. And he's like, I hope you know, I need to be the anchor. All right? You guys are on the front lines in this war. I'm the anchor. You guys take him out, I take the victory. That's how this partnership works. And he walks off, and the Rat Pack follow him. 81 for that match. Adam Smasher versus Jimmy Hernandez in an 86 rated match because Adam Smasher's he is him. He is him. Match goes 13 minutes and 13 seconds. Adam Smasher hits the mushroom cloud. He's able to beat Jimmy Hernandez, who is visibly not 100%, but he gives it his all. Jimmy goes for everything he can, but there are a couple moves. There's some springboards he messes up because his legs aren't fully there. His forearms aren't given the power that they normally are. Domination's beatdown on the go-home show really did a number on Jimmy Hernandez, and Adam Smasher is able to secure the victory. And Jimmy got the 84. I just thought Adam got the 84. Holy shit. Jimmy with the 84. Good stuff. Good stuff. We cut backstage to see some more number drawings, this time with Gilmore, Morgan, Dominic, and Steven Parker, and they all draw their numbers. Joey Morgan looks pretty happy with his number. Dominic and Steven don't really give that much of a reaction, but Angry Gilmore, he draws it. He's like, fuck. Well, someone had to be the first entrant ever. And that's right, Angry Gilmore has drawn number 1. We reveal it to the audience. Somebody had to draw number 1, and it just so happened to be Angry Gilmore. So on our guys' way out, Dominic and Steven, they accidentally kind of bump into the Mission, just kind of like give him a shoulder tap, and Dustin's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? As he like pushes him, they're like, whoa, god damn, fucking are you guys' panties always in a bunch? Like, get the fuck out of here. It was an accident, for fuck's sake. Not the best first introduction to Squeaky and his clients for the self-made sensations. And up next is our SWF World Tag Team Championship match, the Awesomness vs. Hawaiian Crush. Match goes about 15 minutes, and it looks like Hawaiian Crush has the match in the bag. Huey Cannonball is in the middle of the ring, groggy. High-flying Hawaiian's lining him up for something good. And Huey, he kind of crawls his way to the ropes right by where the ref is, and High Flying goes for like a running forearm or a running clothesline over the top rope, and Huey Cannonball's able to dodge it. He manages to pull High Flying Hawaiian and knock the referee down. And while the referee's down, High Flying hits him with a nasty missile drop kick. At this point in time, both Jefferson and Akuma have been brawling on the outside, so they're both out of the match. Or currently, right now, they're out of the match. And High Flying Hawaiian looks to be signaling for his finisher on Huey Cannonball when out of nowhere, with the ref down, Randy Unleashed runs in, hits his finish move, the running enziguri, right on High Flying Hawaiian. He rolls out of the ring. Huey Cannonball picks him up. Jefferson comes in to hit the shock and awe. 1, 2, 3, and your new World Tag Team Champions, Huey Cannonball, Jefferson Stardust, the Awesomeness, thanks to the help of Randy Unleashed. And Huey Cannonball and Jefferson, they're celebrating. And Huey, he's celebrating, he's happy, but he's still like kind of confused, just always looking right back at High Flying Hawaiian like, what the fuck? And then Randy rolls back into the ring, and he's clapping. He's like, boys, congratulations. And Awesomeness just kind of look at Randy like they're clearly not expecting this. And then Huey realizes, he like taps Randy on the shoulder. He's like, he realizes what happened. He realizes Randy took out High Flying Hawaiian while the ref was down. And they look at Randy, and the trio hug it out with your new SWF World Tag Team Champions. Finally, Randy Unleashed has paid the Awesomeness back for all the work the Awesomeness have done for Randy, and they are appreciative of Randy Unleashed for the first time in quite a long time. Boys, Unleashed Awesomeness are back, and they're gonna be better than ever. Following that, we have Rocky Golden versus John Greed in a 90-fucking-3. Oh my god, I wasn't expecting that. 93 rated match. Match goes 16-11, and despite what I implied, no, John Greed did not have anything extra up his sleeve, and Scythe was not even anywhere to be seen during this match, as, for those of you that remember, I believe it was either on the Go Home show or 2 weeks ago, Scythe gave him a promo like, you have failed me multiple times since I've brought you into this partnership. Now is your time to prove yourself. And despite pulling out some offense, some brutal offense that we've never seen John Greed do before. He's got new tricks in his book. Scythe has been training him well. However, Rocky Golden he's Rocky Golden. So, John Greed is not able to overcome the odds. And that means we do have our first match pre-booked for the Supreme Challenge. It will be a one-on-one cage classic. I am not a fan. You know what? Let me stand corrected. It's not that I'm not a fan of the cage escape rules, but for this storyline, I feel like an escape the cage match would not make sense. They need to fight in the middle of the ring. Scythe and Rocky Golden is set for the Supreme Challenge, and Rocky celebrates with the fans. He goes up the stage, and John Greed gets to his feet, and then the lights go out, and when they come back on, Scythe is in the middle of the ring, right behind John Greed with a steel chair. John Greed turns around, bam, right to the top of his head with the chair. Scythe puts the chair on the ground, picks John Greed up for a tombstone pile driver right on the steel chair. That took Rocky Golden out for a month. Who knows what that's going to do to John Greed. Scythe is done with John Greed. He's done with the weakness, and he has taken him out. 88 rated segment. And now it is time for your Supreme Rumble. On the screen, this is your homepage. I don't know what it looks like yet. I don't know if I'm going to do this in the style that I did it for the last SWF series. Probably something like that. Like there should be like 30 blank spots. I don't know why I'm going into detail about something that I'm far away from making, as I'm recording this probably like a good month before it'll air. So if you're wondering why this video took much longer to make, it is because I was making about 60 graphics for this Supreme Rumble, and I have wrote, as I've mentioned multiple times, a very long script for this Supreme Rumble. So if I sound a little robotic, it's because I don't think I suffer from dyslexia, I just have a hard time reading. So, if I sound robotic, it's because I'm focusing on reading what I have wrote, and yeah, without further ado, we kick off the Supreme Rumble with our first ever number one pick, whom we already know who it is. It's Angry Gilmore. He finishes his entrance. Once he finishes it, we soon find out why Hollywood Brett was so angry at the number he originally drew, because number 2 is none other than Monty Trescard, meaning that Brett originally drew number 2. And, you know, during Monty's entrance, the crowd's already booing because it's the Rat Pack, but they start to realize, a good section of the fans are like, wait a minute, we just got deprived of Hollywood Brett and Angry Gilmore starting this match in a one-on-one environment, and then they boo even louder. So even when it was unintentional, because Brett didn't know that Gilmore had the number 1 pick. He drew number 2 before Gilmore drew number 1. So even when unintentional, Brett does the most Brett thing and dodges an encounter with Angry Gilmore. The match begins, and Angry Gilmore holds nothing back on Monty, almost as if he's pretending that Monty is actually Brett, laying in all the offense he usually will on Brett. Gilmore does dominate Monty, but he's unable to eliminate him, as Monty manages to hold on to the ropes every time Gilmore tries to eliminate him. The third entrant in the match is none other than the, quote, brightest newcomer to the SWF, Finn Bruiser. Finn immediately goes after both men fairly easily, as Monty was just mopped the floor with, and he's still hurting from that street fight, and Gilmore had gassed himself simply by beating up Monty in a rage. While Finn and Gilmore pull off some cool spots together, both men nearly getting eliminated, nobody was thrown out. The fourth entrant in the Rumble is the muscle of Team Sexy, Bear Bukowski, with Finn and Bear being the 2 freshest men in the match right now. This whole 2 minutes, which again, our intervals are 2 minutes, just because that's what it literally said in the description of the match. This whole 2 minutes is dominated by the 2 of them clobbering each other, trying to wear them down. Just a massive hoss fight. But unfortunately for both men, they are unable to weaken the other to the point of elimination before our next man enters. Spencer Spade enters at number 5, and when he enters, both Bear and Finn are still trading clotheslines, trying to get the other knocked down. Spencer Spade notices this, and after little hesitation, maybe he's going to interfere, he opts not to intervene with the two behemoths and just proceeds to beat down on Angry Gilmore in the corner while he's down. Eventually, Finn wins the exchange with Bear, but the poor man gets no breathing room as the second he finishes his brawl with Bear Bukowski, Spade immediately hits him with his finisher, the Supreme Stunner, which has Finn stumbling to the ropes. He does that thing where he gets hit with the stunner, he doesn't fall over, he just kind of stumbles backwards. And so he stumbles to the ropes. Spade attempts to eliminate him, but the big heavyweight is too big, and he's unable to lift him over the top rope. The next entrance music hits, and Spade's attention is immediately gone from Big Bruiser Finley straight to the entrance ramp, as it is Jungle Lord. Jungle Lord makes his first appearance here since his SWF loss to Awesome Impact to Hollywood Bret Starr. I'm sure that's the reason he was missing, not because Jack was simply just not feeling well and he wanted time off. It's totally not because the head booker had nothing for the aging vet. Nothing for him. It's totally his own accord. So for those of you that remember, Spencer Spade was Jungle Lord's first feud in the Save, and vice versa. So when Spade came out victorious, Jungle... Why don't I stick to the fucking... This is what I'm talking about, guys. I don't stick to the script, and then I just fucking blabble nonsense. Okay, for those of you that remember, Spencer Spade's first feud in the Save was against Jungle Lord, where Spade came out victorious. Jungle Lord stares daggers to Spade during his whole entrance, clearly looking for revenge. Once Jungle hits the ring, he and Spade lock arms, and both men begin to wail on each other with punches and forearms, and Jungle Lord wins the exchange and finishes Spade off with a few more stiff forearms, which he has learned from his time in Golden Canvas Grappling, so they're really stiff forearms. The 2 minutes expire, with Spade clinging to the ropes for dear life. Jungle just about has him eliminated. Unfortunately for Jungle Lord, the next entrant is none other than Spencer Spade's tag team partner, one half of the Big Money Makers, Brandon James, who immediately saves Spade from certain elimination. The duo hit their tag finisher, the franchise flatliner, and look to eliminate Jungle Lord from the match, but at this exact moment, Finn Bruiser is back to his feet. Brandon James, still fueled with rage from 6 weeks ago when the Big Money Makers were bested in a brawl by Finn Bruiser and Froshore, he rushes to the big man, leaving Jungle Lord where he was laying. Spencer eventually joins Brandon on the assault on Finn as they hit another franchise flatliner, this time on Finn, and the two look for this elimination. Gilmore unintentionally interrupts this elimination, and he gets a franchise flatliner of his own. When BJ and Spade turn their attention back to Finn, they begin trying to eliminate him by lifting him over the top ropes, but they took too long to do this, too many interruptions, as our next entrant enters the match. Froshore is entrant number 8, and he, alongside Finn Bruiser, over the past month or so have been in a rivalry with the Big Money Makers. Being the most fresh man in the match, Froshore is able to intercept Brandon James and Spencer Spade's elimination and is able to bob and weave all of their punches, delivering punches of his own in between. So Spade will go for a punch, Fro will duck and hit his own. Brandon will go for a punch, Fro will duck, hit his own. Eventually, Fro rocks Spade with a punch right across the jaw, sending him onto his back. Brandon goes for a vicious clothesline that Fro is able to duck, and then Fro is then able to toss Brandon James over the top rope using that momentum that Brandon put into that failed clothesline. Brandon is officially the first to ever be eliminated in a Supreme Rumble, and then at the hands of none other than Froshore. Spencer Spade gets back to his feet and attempts a Supreme Stunner on Fro, but Fro catches him, pushes him forward into Finn Bruiser, who is then able to quickly toss Spencer Spade over the top rope and eliminate him too. After being eliminated in such humiliating fashion, the Big Money Makers attempt to get back into the ring, but they're held back and prevented by the referees we own and that security that Eric Eisen brought in at the Go Home show, Robert Oxford and Black Hat Bailey and Runaway Train. They're preventing from anyone getting into that ring that isn't supposed to be in that ring. So once Finn and Fro turn around, they are laid out by a massive double clothesline by Bear Bukowski. Bear is then jumped from behind by Jungle Lord, and Gilmore and Monty are still brawling in the corner while this whole thing is going on. Entrant number 9, Rogue makes his way to the ring and is immediately caught in the crosshairs of Monty Trescott and Angry Gilmore's brawl. Monty was getting the upper hand on Gilmore by doing, his eye pokes and biting his head and all that shit, but he'd accidentally bumped into Rogue, and Monty mistook him bumping into Rogue, not even Rogue bumping into him. Monty mistook him bumping into Rogue as Rogue trying to pick a fight with Monty. Monty tells Rogue to square up and fight like a man, and so, they both put their dukes up, and then Monty proceeds to bitch slap Rogue right across the face. Rogue takes a second, you kind of in shock that just happened. Rogue takes a second and then delivers a nasty headbutt right to Monty, making him stumble right back into Angry Gilmore, who dumps him over the top rope. After Monty's elimination, nothing really of note happens before entrant number 10 makes his entrance, and Gilmore gets exactly about 0 seconds of freedom from the Rat Pack, as entrant number 10 is Paul Huntington. Paul has a quick moment of hesitation before entering the match, almost as if he doesn't want to be competing, before he goes headfirst right into Angry Gilmore. While Paul has a few close calls, almost eliminating Gilmore, he's ultimately unsuccessful, and the 2 minutes are up without any eliminations during this period. Our next entrant is one half of Domination, Avalanche. Immediately, Avalanche makes an impact in the match as he comes in and lays out Fro Shore, lays out Finn Bruiser, Bear Bukowski, and then Rogue. After running through almost everyone in the match, Jungle Lord is able to clip Avalanche with a jumping kick right to the head, stumbles Avalanche. Jungle tries to keep his momentum going and hits the ropes, looking for some sort of running attack, but Avalanche turns Jungle's offense against him and delivers a massive over-the-head toss and over the back, what is the technical name of that? Over the back toss? I don't fucking know. That's what he hits on Jungle Lord. And, so Jungle Lord's flat on his back. He uses the ropes to get back to his feet, but Avalanche proceeds to clothesline Jungle Lord right over the top rope, eliminating him. Avalanche then turns his attention back to Rogue, who begins to put up a better fight, but Avalanche is still able to keep control, hitting his one-handed choke bomb finisher on Rogue right before the next entrant is revealed. And our next entrant is Oliver Cobb, who has history with all 3 members of the power plant, as Cobb has been on the receiving end of many beatings by the trio over the course of this season. Cobb immediately goes after Avalanche and is able to stun the monster a few times, but is ultimately unsuccessful until Avalanche begins to dominate the ring once again. This is going to be a common theme in this match, is that Oliver Cobb is going to be just blindly going head first into danger right after people for seemingly no reason, just out of pure adrenaline and the will to win, because Oliver Cobb probably has one of the lowest chances of winning this match, so he's going to try and do whatever it takes. Paul continues to hound on Gilmore as if he's instructed to do so, and Paul isn't taking any chance to eliminate anyone else or help himself out in any way. He's just focused on beating up Angry Gilmore. After a good 90 seconds of laying waste to Oliver Cobb, Rogue, and Bear Bukowski, Avalanche finally looks as if he's on the brink of collapse as Froschur and Finn Bruiser begin to team up and take him down as the next entrant is revealed. And just as Avalanche is about to be taken out of the match, his tag team partner Chill is entrant number 13. Chill rushes into the ring and saves his partner by immediately tossing Froschur over the top rope and eliminating him. Chill attempts to do the same thing to Finn Bruiser, but Finn is able to string together some strong offense, stunning Chill. Finn then lifts Chill up, who is looking for his finisher, the Atomic Spinebuster, but he is cut off by Avalanche, who has finally made it to his feet. Domination hit their tag team finisher, the Cold Snap, on Finn Bruiser before eliminating him. Just note, it was not an easy elimination. It took both men to eliminate him, as he's fucking a big-ass bruiser. And after eliminating both Finn and Fro, the duo turn their attention back to Rogue, who they've beaten down enough to where they can feel they can easily eliminate him. After a quick moment where Cobb tries to take both men on by himself and fails, Avalanche and Chill hit the Cold Snap right on Rogue right as the next right as the countdown expires. This is what I'm fucking talking about, guys. I look further ahead in the script, and I fucking stumble myself. Entrant number 14 is none other than Valiant. When Valiant makes it to the ring, Avalanche and Chill have Rogue in a very unfavorable position on the ropes, with Rogue looking as if he's done for, but despite the long and brutal history the two have together, Valiant saves Rogue and pulls him back to the center of the ring. Domination then turned their attention to Valiant, and after a few seconds where Valiant looks to take them both on by himself, Chill is able to cut off his offense. Domination then looked to hit another cold snap, this time on Valiant, when Oliver Cobb once again throws caution to the wind. Fueled with nothing but pure hate for the power plant, Cobb hits a massive dropkick, knocking Chill to the floor before getting his head nearly taken off by a big boot from Avalanche. But this window was all Valiant needed to take advantage, and while he was distracted, Valiant tosses Avalanche over the top rope, eliminating him. By now, Chill has gotten back up to his feet and sees what Valiant has done. Chill nails Valiant with a brutal punch to the gut before setting up for his own finisher, the Snowstorm. I imagine it's some sort of power slam variant. But Rogue rises to his feet, intercepts the move before clotheslining Chill over the top rope. It took a short reuniting of one of the SWF's greatest tag teams of all time to end the short reign of terror that Domination had on this match. After eliminating Chill, Rogue looks behind him and sees Valiant standing in front of him. The two smile at each other and then bump fists. A nice wholesome moment in the middle of this match. But the wholesomeness did not last for long, as Rogue then looks at Valiant and asks him, you want to go again? Valiant responds with, yeah. You go first, and puts his hands to the side, opening up for a brutal forearm from Rogue. Valiant responds with one of his own, and the two men begin to trade forearm blows until number 15 makes his entrance. Entrant number 15 is the lowest ranking member of the Rat Pack, Justin Sensitive. On his way to the ring, Justin passes the cameraman on the ramp and talks directly to the audience at home. He says to the camera, "Hey Gilmore, Hollywood Brett sends his regards." And as Justin enters the ring, he has failed to realize that Paul Huntington no longer had control in his brawl with Gilmore, and Gilmore was waiting for Justin to enter the ring. Sensitive enters and goes right for Gilmore, but Gilmore quickly launches Justin right over the top rope, eliminating him in about 4.5 seconds. I'm sure that moment looked a lot cooler in Justin's head, and he envisioned himself being the one to take out Gilmore and receiving a pat on the back from Brett and like a hot dog or something when Brett entered the match. But Gilmore sent Justin flying over the top rope to the point where Justin nearly hit the announce table before the ground. And as Gilmore was admiring his feat of strength, Paul was able to sneak up from behind and dump Gilmore over the top rope, but Gilmore hung on. Paul then hit the ropes, looking to hit Gilmore with a running clothesline to finish him off, but Gilmore pulled the ropes down and Huntington went flying over the top rope too. Still on the apron, Gilmore looks at the camera and just says, 3 down, 1 to go. While Gilmore is focusing on taking out all of the Rat Pack himself, he should have been focusing on the ring, as when he re-enters, he's knocked to the ground by Bear Bukowski. During this entire exchange between Gilmore and Justin and Primus, Valiant and Rogue have not stopped their forearm battle. They've been trading this entire time, and it finally ends right as the next countdown begins, when the two hit a forearm on each other's chest, simultaneously knocking both of them to the ground. Accompanied to the ring by his new manager, Squeaky McLean, number 16 is none other than the son of Christian Faith, Matty Faith. Before Matty enters the ring, Squeaky leaves him alone, telling him he'll be back later. So they get close to the ring, and Squeaky's like, "Alright, you got this, I'll be back." Matty enters and has a nice heavyweight battle with Bear Bukowski, and then a quick back and forth with Oliver Cobb, but was unable to eliminate either of them in the 2 minutes before the next entrant. Steven Parker's up next, and I'm sure he could have taken on Avalanche, and I'm sure he wishes he could have taken on Avalanche and Chill to get some revenge for kidnapping him, but he has no problem going right for both Matty Faith and Bear Bukowski, as he and Dominic D'Souza have been feuding with both Team Sexy and Squeaky McLean over the past couple months. while the three men did some cool solo spots against each other, calling back to that three-way tag where we saw the debut of the Mission on the main roster. No man was able to eliminate anyone as time ran out before entrant number 18. The next man in the match is the other half of the Mission, Ranger. In the ring, Bear Bukowski is focused fully on Steven Parker, not really realizing that right behind him, Ranger was helping Maddie get to his feet, and before you know it, the duo are right behind Bear, ready to strike. After a brutal assault on Parker in the corner, Bear turns around and is immediately hit with the Mission's tag team finisher, Mission Control. Ranger and Faith get Bear to his feet before both men lift him up and dump him over the top rope. Before the Mission can even turn their attention to Steven, Parker hits them with a nasty double dropkick from behind. Thinking he's got a moment to breathe, Parker does a quick taunt to the crowd before hitting the ropes for another running attack. Parker did not take into account how fresh Ranger was, as he was already back to his feet, and nailed Parker with a nasty discus clothesline, causing Steven's body to flip before even hitting the ground. The Mission looked to take full control over Parker and eventually eliminate him, but the 2 minutes were up, and entrant number 19 was coming to make the save. Dominic D'Souza hauled ass to the ring to prevent his tag team partner from being eliminated. D'Souza hit loads of devastating offense on both Ranger and Maddie, culminating in Dom and Steven hitting their own tag team finisher from the bottom on Maddie Faith. After a massive rolling elbow from Ranger to Parker, Dominic and Ranger began to brawl, but D'Souza was clearly winning the fight. Dom eventually tossed Ranger over the top rope, barely holding on, until Squeaky McLean re-emerged out of nowhere to push Ranger back into the ring to save his client. Dominic immediately turned his attention to McLean, looking to kill him, but it became clear why Squeaky McLean was back at ringside so soon when number 20's music hits. As Des David's music hits, and the final client of Squeaky McLean was now in the match. Dominic had to turn his attention away from Squeaky to defend himself, but there was no use, as by the time Des made it to the ring, Maddie Faith was back to his feet, and it was now 2-on-1. Then Steven tried to save his partner, but then Ranger got back to his feet, and now it was 3-on-1. Squeaky then got his clients to take on the rest of the wrestlers in the ring. First, they beat on Angry Gilmore, almost eliminating him before Valiant and Rogue stopped them. After a few bright moments by those two, the numbers game was still too much for them to overcome, and they were almost eliminated until Oliver Cobb tried to take on all of Squeaky's clients by himself. Cobb's plan went about as well as you'd expect, but by the time the 2 minutes were up, Des, Maddie, and Ranger had complete control of the ring. Despite not making any eliminations, they were poised in a very good position as entrant number 21 was revealed. Entrant number 21 was none other than Ranger's old tag team partner from the Dallas Cowboys, Marshall Dillon. Marshall Dillon makes a slow walk to the ring, ready to confront Des and the Mission and take them all on by himself. When he gets into the ring, Marshall and Ranger stare each other down for a few moments before Maddie Faith jumps Marshall, and then all three began to beat down on him. In an amazing feat of strength, Marshall is able to push all three men off of him and lay them out one by one. He hits Ranger with a huge uppercut, catches Maddie Faith with a nasty belly-to-belly. Before a short back and forth with Des, he catches him, hits Des with a T-bone suplex. Ranger gets back to his feet, tries to ambush Marshall, but Dillon counters and sends Ranger right over the top rope and onto the floor. Ranger begins to yell at Marshall as security are pushing him back. Not one to be outdone by trash talk, Marshall leans over the top rope, yelling right back at Ranger, but letting his emotions get the better of him allowed Squeaky McLean, who was still at ringside, to take advantage. While Marshall was leaning over the top rope, pointing and yelling back, Squeaky grabbed a hold of Marshall's arm from the apron, not allowing Marshall to retreat. Maddie Faith was able to sneak up from behind Marshall and dump him over the top rope. While his time in the match was short, his impact was immense, as not only did Marshall prevent a potential stranglehold from Squeaky's clients, he also took Squeaky out himself. After his feet touched the floor, Marshall turned right to McLean and chased him around the ring, eventually to the back. Des and Maddie tried their best to yell to Squeaky to get him back to the ringside, but he was long gone as it was time for the next entrant in the Rumble. Entrant number 2 is Mass Patriot, and while Marshall had been betrayed by Ranger to join up with Squeaky, Patriot had been betrayed by Maddie Faith for the same reason. Maddie wasted no time trying to take out his former tagging partner, as when Mass Patriot just got onto the apron, not even entering the ring, Maddie was already trying to beat him down. This did not go as planned, as Patriot caught Maddie with a punch and pushed him back so he could enter. Once in the ring, Patriot immediately did a running takedown on Maddie, and the two were brawling with each other on the ground. Des attempted to break them up, but he was stopped by the self-made sensations before he could help Maddie. Steven and Dom tried to take out Des while the opportunity was ripe, attempting to hit another from the bottom on him, but they were too weakened down from the Mission's assault from earlier to execute, as Des was able to get out of the finisher, pushing Parker off to the side before rushing full steam ahead at D'Souza, hitting him with his finisher, the quarterback sack, which launched him over the top rope and out of the match. I can't remember if I ever mentioned this on video. I think I have, but I've always imagined the quarterback sack to literally be Monty Brown's old finisher, the pounce. So if you're like, wait a minute, he fucking hit his finisher over the top rope. Yeah, he fucking did the pounce, and and Dominic D'Souza went launched right over the top rope. With D'Souza eliminated, Des looked to go back to Steven, but the rest of the workers in the match did not appreciate being ganged up by Squeaky and his clients, and Des was caught with a flying single leg dropkick by Rogue. The match turned into a complete free-for-all with everybody in the match fighting each other, including Mass Patriot and Maddie Faith, who were still fighting each other. This whole time, they didn't stop. They've just been brawling. With the match in a status of total mayhem wink, the countdown for entrant number 23 has ended. Joey Morgan enters the match at number 23, and when he gets into the ring, he is met with some of the other top names in the company. Angry Gilmore, Valiant, Rogue, and Des Davids were all on their feet at this moment in time, and after a brief moment of peace, all 5 men immediately rush each other and it turns into a spot fest. Eventually, Des is able to escape this mosh pit and looking for a brief rest, but he's met with a flying knee by Steven Parker, and after a brief exchange between the two, Steven goes for a springboard elbow, but Davis throws his whole body right at Parker and hits him with a quarterback sack in mid-air, seemingly knocking Parker out cold. Wasting no time, Des picks up Parker and tosses him out of the ring for the elimination. After successfully eliminating 2 of his bigger rivals in recent weeks, Davis tries to bask in the moment but fails to realize that Joey Morgan had come out victorious from the aforementioned Spot Fest mosh pit and was waiting for Davids and Parker to finish up. Once the opportunity was prime, Joey tried to dump Davis over the top rope, but Davis hung on, and after delivering a devastating headbutt to Morgan, Davis was able to get back into the ring and deliver another quarterback sack. But Morgan was able to catch him mid-move and turn it into his own finisher, the Empire Spiral. Joey then helps Davids back up to his feet before eliminating him from the match. During this entire time, Maddie Faith and Mass Patriot had not stopped fighting one another. Maddie and Patriot were now in a position where they were both trying to push each other over the top rope simultaneously. Like, one would start to go over, and then they'd fight back, and then the other would start to go over. And once Morgan finished up with Des Davids, he was met with a fastball punch right to the dome by the one and only Oliver Cobb. Come entrant number 24, Oliver Cobb was somehow the only one left standing in the ring. Entrant number 4 is the Dragon, the Remo Slayer, the absolute fucking legend, Mikey Lau. Mikey enters the ring and immediately is going 100 miles an hour, running right at Cobb, ducking another fastball punch from him before bouncing off the other side's ropes and hitting a Konosuke Takeshita style clothesline. Mikey then turns his attention to Maddie and Patriot, who are still scrambling on the ropes, and picks them both up and dumps them over the top rope. While Maddie was unable to hang on, Mass Patriot was able to catch himself. So Maddie's eliminated, Mass Patriot's still on the apron. After catching one of Lau's punches and delivering one of his own, Patriot attempted to get back in the ring, but midway through re-entering, Mikey hit him with a jumping, spinning super kick right to the jaw that sent him back first onto the floor. So in a span of about 50 seconds, Mikey had already eliminated 2 guys, and he intended to keep the momentum going, nailing Angry Gilmore with a nasty bicycle kick, then grabbing Joey Morgan to deliver a brutal brainbuster. Mikey would finally be stopped when he ran up to Rogue, trying to hit a shotgun dropkick. Rogue would move out of the way, and unintentionally, Valiant would get hit by that running shotgun dropkick. And Rogue would quickly take advantage, hitting Mikey with 3 consecutive German suplexes before dumping Mikey over the top rope. But Mikey was able to hang on, and Rogue tried as hard as he could to push Mikey out of the ring, and eventually Mikey would Mikey would eventually turn the tables on Rogue, dumping him over the top rope. But both men are still on the apron, and as the 2 minutes expired, Mikey was super close to eliminating Rogue from the match. But Lenny Brown quickly made his way to the ring to save his mentor Rogue from elimination. The two began to team up on Mikey as before a furious Valiant came full steam ahead right at Rogue, thinking that Rogue intentionally sent Mikey and his shotgun dropkick right at him. Valiant was looking to get some payback. The rest of the time was spent with Lenny and Rogue fighting Valiant and Lau, and Oliver Cobb fighting for dear life to not possibly get killed by Angry Gilmore. Sammy Smoke entered next at number 26 and took his sweet time getting into the ring. I mean, like, in all fairness, awaiting him in the ring was Valiant, Mikey Lau, Lenny Brown, Rogue, and Angry Gilmore, so I don't entirely blame him. But, if you remember, the rule is you have until the next entrant comes out to enter the ring, or else your time is forfeited, or your spot is forfeited. So, after about 80 seconds had passed with Sammy waiting on the outside, the exhaust of being in the match from the very beginning was finally catching up with Angry Gilmore, and he let his guard down for just a moment, allowing Oliver Cobb to nail him with a fastball punch, following up that with his finishing move, the strikeout. Thinking Cobb would be an easy target, Sammy Smoke finally entered the match and immediately hit his own finisher on Oliver, the ace in the hole. Sammy tried to celebrate, but then was immediately caught with a super kick right to his face at the hands, or I guess feet, of Mikey Lau, and the fighting continued up until our next entrant, and Randy Unleashed is number 27, and much like Smoke, Randy was in zero hurry to enter this match. Randy actually strolls his way onto the timekeeper's area and grabs a microphone right out the ring announcer's hand. Randy turns to the ring and says, "You know, Sammy, I was watching right there from the back, and I saw you stand out here at ringside waiting to pick your moment, and I gotta say, that really pissed me off. It really pissed me off that I didn't think of it myself. I mean, I was actually about to run in there myself and take a beating for no damn reason." So Eric said that we have until the horn blows after 2 minutes to enter the ring or forfeit our spot in the match, right? So the only thing separating my plan from Sammy's plan is that I have my own ace in the hole. So have fun fighting, guys. I'll be there in about 90 seconds. And for the first time since he turned heel, Randy was a man of his word, and he waited at the ringside while everybody else in the ring fought. And once the countdown hit 3 seconds left, Randy quickly slid into the ring, and it became very clear what Randy's ace in the hole was, as the theme music of Primus Allen begins to play as he was entrant number 28 in the match. Emma Chase notes that Primus and Randy have been working together for about 4 months now, so they probably communicated what numbers they had. And once Randy realized Primus was coming right after him, he knew he had an insane advantage. And he knew that he'd have an insane advantage if they were both able to enter the match at the same time. And that advantage almost immediately began to pay dividends as the two began to lay waste to everybody in the ring. First laying out Cobb, then Gilmore, then Mikey. Sammy Smoke gave the audience a glimpse of hope when he nailed Randy with a forearm to the back of his head, laying him out, but Primus immediately grabbed him and tossed him over the top rope. Rogue and Lenny tried to team up on Primus, but the combination of Primus not only being the newest competitor in the match and therefore being the freshest, both Rogue and Lenny had been in the ring for at least 4 minutes. It made it insanely easy for Primus to fight them off. Primus first pushed Lenny right into Randy, who just got back to his feet, allowing Randy to deliver a nasty German suplex with a lot of momentum towards him. Primus then shoved Rogue into the corner before big booting him right over the top rope. The second Lenny Brown got to his feet, Randy hit him with his finisher, the running enziguri. Randy then picked Lenny back up, Irish whipped him into a brutal lariat from Primus that nearly took Lenny's head right off. Primus went to eliminate Lenny himself, but Randy stopped him, asking him if he could put him on the apron and do it himself. Primus obliged and put Lenny on the apron, on his feet, so Randy can deliver another running enziguri to Brown, this time eliminating him from the match. Randy trying to get any form of statistics going his way, the easiest way possible, basically getting Primus to beat them down before eliminating them himself. And once Randy was done toying around with Lenny, he turned around and ate a big running rocket kick right to the dome at the hands of Joey Morgan. Joey lit a fire under his ass and quickly dodged every strike that the much bigger, but slower, Primus Allen threw at him. Eventually, Joey went for a springboard crossbody off the ropes, but the much bigger and also slower Primus Allen caught him and delivered his own running power slam finisher. Like a vulture to its prey, Randy came running in and scooped up Joey Morgan to throw him over the top rope for another elimination, technically at the hands of Randy Unleashed. With the duo of Randy Unleashed and Primus Allen just eliminating half the remaining competitors in a span of 2 minutes, the time was up and entrant number 29 had their work cut out for them. Entrant number 29 was none other than Randy's own brother, ZWB, and once ZWB's music hit, Randy immediately pushed Primus ahead of him, refusing to take ZWB on himself. With Primus guarding the ring, ZWB looks around, trying to find another way in, but he may not have to. With Primus and Randy at the other ends of the ring, Allen did not realize what was happening behind him. Primus was so focused on keeping ZWB out of the ring that Oliver Cobb was able to emerge out of nowhere and nail Randy with a fastball punch, laying him out. Cobb then ran up right behind Primus, got real low to the ground, and used all the leverage in the world to manage to dump Primus over the top rope and eliminate him. Oliver Cobb, the Miracle Kid, eliminates Primus Allen. With Primus in complete shock of what just happened, he did not guard himself from a devastating super kick by ZWB. With Primus now eliminated and knocked out on the floor, ZWB was able to enter the match with no issues. With nowhere to run and nowhere to hide, Randy was forced to take his brother head on, and after a quick exchange, ZWB dodges Randy's running enziguri and hits Randy with one of his own finishers, the Glittering Michigan. I have no fucking clue what this finisher is. I have no idea what it could be. The Glittering Michigan is one of the weirdest names I've ever heard. Just know that it's a standing finisher. That's all I can say. Imagine whatever you want. I couldn't think of anything. With Randy all dazed and confused, Cobb hits him with one more fastball punch for good measure before ZWB tosses him over the top rope. And with only one man left to go and no time remaining, entrant 30 makes his way into the match. With a spot so valuable like number 30, it's no surprise that Hollywood Brett forced Monty to give him the spot. Hollywood made his entrance as absolutely smug and confidently as he could be, as he makes it close to the ring before eating a suicide dive from Angry Gilmore. Dwayne Fry notes that Gilmore has been waiting for Brett to enter this match ever since he eliminated Paul Huntington back at entrant number 15. Gilmore continued his beatdown on Brett on the outside, with the two brawling all around the ring. Soon, Gilmore grabbed a chair and began to beat down Bret with it. Eventually, Bret got his own weapon, a wooden baseball bat, trying to defend himself, but he was no match for the pure rage that was coming from Angry Gilmore. Gilmore and Bret would fight to the announcer's table, where Gilmore would lay Star atop the table before heading to the top rope, delivering his secondary finisher, the sky-high elbow drop, right through the table. Remington Remus notes that since Angry Gilmore's suicide dive was over the middle rope and not the top rope, he was not eliminated from the match, and also that since he did not re-enter the ring before climbing the turnbuckle, he technically did not go over the top rope and is still a legal member of the match. While all the carnage outside of the ring was happening, Valiant realized how close he was to winning the Rumble, how close he was to, quote, escaping Rocky Golden's shadow, that he began to turn his offense up a notch. Valiant began to take on both Oliver Cobb and ZWP at the same time, with Cobb trying to hit Valiant with a fastball punch, but Valiant dodged and pushed that fist right into the face of ZWB. Valiant quickly hit Cobb with a headbutt and then a knee right to his face back to back before grabbing him by the back of the head and throwing him over the top rope. With Oliver Cobb out, Valiant goes right back to ZWB. By now, Gilmore is back on his feet and he has re-entered the match and has begun to scrap with Mikey Lau. With all four men currently fighting in groups of two and the ring not growing at all, the groups of two would inevitably spill into each other's fight, with Angry Gilmore and Valiant both ducking massive head kicks at the same time by Mikey and ZWB, resulting in those two kicking each other in the head. So Mikey went for a kick on Valiant, or Mikey went for a kick on Gilmore, ZWB went for a kick on Valiant, Gilmore and Valiant duck, ZWB and Mikey managed to nail each other both in the head with their kicks. With Mikey being in the match much longer than ZWB, Lau was knocked off of his feet, but Jimmy was able to stand tall as he was entry number 29. He wasn't nearly as beaten down, so Jimmy stood. He was groggy, which allowed Valiant to swoop him from behind, throw ZWB over the top rope for his second consecutive elimination. Angry Gilmore took advantage of Valiant and quickly scooped him up and over the top rope, but not to the floor, and Valiant hung on. Valiant was able to fight his way back into the ring and positioned Gilmore for him to hit his secondary finisher, the Patriot Missile. I imagine this one is like a running snake eyes into the middle turnbuckle. But Gilmore was able to get out of it and lifts Valiant up for his finisher, the Anger Management, which I think I've always thought of this one as like a Texas pile driver. One of the like quick ones, not a stalling one. So when it became a stalling one, it was clear that Valiant was fighting out of it, and Valiant fought out of the Anger Management, the pile driver, and breaks the stalemate with a gnarly headbutt right to Angry Gilmore. While he's stunned, Valiant Irish whips Angry Gilmore right into the ropes, but instead of rebounding back to him, Gilmore goes flying over the top rope and onto the floor. And so while those two were fighting, a bleeding Hollywood Bret Star had finally entered the match, and at the perfect moment, as he re-entered the match and pulled the top rope down right as Valiant Irish whipped Gilmore. So Gilmore had been in the match since the very beginning and was eventually eliminated by the man he waited so long to get his hands on. And not just eliminated in the most fluky way possible. Valiant then went right after Bret Star, trying to take him out while he's still hurting, but Mikey Lau had gotten back to his feet and nailed Valiant with a kick right to his liver. So over the next few minutes, all three men were in a massive fight, with each other constantly trying to catch the other top guard and dump them over the top rope. So after a few minutes, things had come to a head when Mikey Lau delivered a series of liver kicks to Bret in the corner. When he finishes and turns around, he is met with Valiant, who immediately tries to throw him over the top rope. Mikey grabs for dear life, and both men are currently in the ring, with Valiant trying to find any form of leverage to toss Mikey over. But before you know it, Bret Star comes running up from behind and manages to toss both men over the top rope. But they both hang on, and Hollywood thinks he's won the match. and he drops to his knees, celebrating before looking behind him and realizing nothing has changed. Bret gives out one massive sigh before walking over to the two, who are now standing on the apron, and eats a massive headbutt from both men at the same time. Mikey attempts to get back into the ring, but Valiant kicks Mikey's hands clean off the ropes, and he falls backwards, but catches himself on the middle rope at the last moment. Valiant leans down, looking to deliver more offense, but Mikey catches him with a nasty uppercut and then an even nastier super kick, and Valiant falls backwards, but was too close to the turnbuckle to fall to the floor, so he hits the corner, he hits the post instead of falling, and is able to grab onto the bottom rope, and is now currently sitting up with his back on the post. Mikey thinks fast and runs full steam ahead right at Valiant and hits him with two knees to the face, hits him with the Andrade double knees to the face, and Valiant falls forward and onto the ground for the elimination. As Mikey's watching Valiant fall, he turns to the ring and then sees Hollywood going full steam ahead for a shoulder tackle to knock Mikey right off the apron. But it does not go as Bret planned. Instead, Mikey jumps over the top rope and does a sunset flip style roll that, the one where it's like their heads through the middle rope, so the guy on the apron does the sunset flip roll into the pin. So he does that, but instead of the pin, he just rolls him forward. That sends Bret Starr all the way to the other end of the ring. Bret immediately rolls back onto his feet, and as Mikey is still getting up, using the ropes to help him, Bret runs right at Mikey, trying to clothesline him over the top rope, but Mikey ducks and tosses Hollywood right over his head, over the top rope, that fucking aforementioned over the back shit that I couldn't think of the name of. He launches him right over the top rope, and Hollywood is launched right onto Valiant, who catches him on the outside, and Bret is eliminated. Meaning that Mikey Lau is the last man standing, and now will be challenging either the Crippler or Steve Frehley at the main event of the Supreme Challenge 40. That is going to be such a pain in the ass to edit. I could not, for the life of me, read that fucking script without having a fucking autism attack. Holy shit. But I hope it comes out great, as that took me so long to type, and I'm still very happy with how it turned out. Let's see how the match did. It got an 82. This is exactly why these never main event. They never do well. But, yeah, Mikey Lau won the Battle Royal in 55 minutes, 42 seconds. The other members of the Final Four were Bret, Gilmore, Valiant, Hollywood being the final elimination, and I actually did check. Mikey Lau did get the most eliminations over the course of the match. He had 4. Gilmore had 3. I think Valiant had 3. And I think that was it. I think everyone else had either 2 or 1 or 0. But, yeah, that was the Supreme Rumble, guys. I need a minute. My voice is hurting. So, following the Supreme Rumble, Lenny Brown and Rogue find Randy Unleashed backstage, and Lenny Brown was eliminated by Randy. Actually, they both were eliminated by Randy, I think Rogue was Primus, and then Lenny was Randy. So basically, Lenny's like, that was fucking lame. That was lame. If you want to fight me like a man, how about next week you take me on for the North American title? I already beat Primus Allen, and now I'm ready to beat you. Since you want to toy around, how about we actually fight? No toying. And obviously Randy accepts because it's a fucking title match. So yeah, next Supreme TV, we will have Lenny Brown versus Randy Unleashed for the North American title. And then in our main event, the Crippler and Steve Frehley, they absolutely kill each other. They hate each other. They're both still hurting. They're both hurting from that spot where Crippler hit a running blockbuster off the stage, through tables. And in our main event, 87 rated main event, you love to see it. The Crippler defeats Steve Frehley in 21:39. No help needed. Crippler retains the World Heavyweight Championship following a pinfall from the Tombstone Piledriver. And the match suffered because there's not enough selling shown. I don't care. 87, that's fine with me. And we end our show with a face-off. In the we know the main event of the Supreme Challenge now. It is going to be Mikey Lau versus the Crippler for the SWF World Heavyweight Championship. 100 rated segment to end the show, and an 89 rated pay-per-view. You know we're thriving when our pay-per-view gets an 89 and the show did not result in any popularity changes. John Greed and Rocky Golden being the best match on the card is not something that I expected, but it's welcome, I guess. My voice really hurts, so as of right now, I've been recording for over an hour, with most of that obviously being the Supreme Rumble. So again, I put a lot of work in that Supreme Rumble, and my fucking amazing brain was not able to comprehend words on paper for the 50th time. So I hope you all enjoyed this episode. I hope that Supreme Rumble comes out really well. I hope I could get the narratives across from my brain that I can't execute through my mouth through that. I don't know what that meant. But yeah, I hope you all really enjoyed this episode, and I hope you all are excited as we begin the build to the Supreme Challenge number 40.